So, Rylie, you wind up racing Lia Thomas in the 200-yard freestyle at the NCAA. You tie for fifth place. Talk to me about that day.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we're measuring swimming down to the hundredths. So to go the exact same time down to the hundredth is pretty rare. It's pretty crazy to do. And so, like you said, we tied. This was the day after Thomas won the national title. And so we go behind the awards podium where we're going to get our trophies distributed to us, and then we're kind of paraded out. But the official looks at me and says, "Great swim. We don't really account for ties, so we only have one trophy. We're going to give that trophy to Thomas. Rylie, yours will eventually come in the mail. Great job." And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I understand we don't account for ties. It's, pretty rare to do. But can I ask you why you're adamant on giving this trophy to Thomas, especially after winning a national title last night? Is there a reasoning? And he looks at me and says, "Well, we're just doing this in chronological order." And so I realize what's happening now. And I ask him, okay, well, we went the exact same time. So what are we being chronological about? And he looks at me and says, "For photo purposes, Thomas has to have the trophy. You can pose with the sixth place trophy since that's what we have, but yours will eventually just come in the mail." And so it was at this point that I was done waiting for someone with some sort of political power, someone with some authority to change these guidelines to say something. I took it upon myself as a 22-year-old girl to speak out on how crazy this is, because it was in this instance I realized, not only are we being forced to compete against men, change in a locker room with men, we're being put on the back burner. We're being sidelined to men. And this is showing to me that the females category is in total jeopardy here.
Yeah, interesting to me that in this moment, all the so-called feminists have been quiet. We have an image of that. Natalia, if you can pull up the New York Post image, because what you're talking about is true. You have a biological male that wound up holding the trophy. And in fact, it was a photo op. I mean, it's very clear to me that the reason that happened was because the woke media wanted their photo opportunity. So you see this image. Immediately, the size difference, I think, stuns everyone. That was what registered in the minds of people who didn't really realize how big Lia was in comparison. You look at this image today, and what emotions do you feel thinking about that moment and reliving that moment by just looking at this picture?
It's just honestly frustration. But now looking back on it, I really hate to say right place, right time, but I do think that I was put in a position where it's given me a fantastic story to really shine light on what this issue is doing to female sports. I think it's kind of God put me there for a reason, which is kind of crazy to say, because not to say I expected any of this to come from it, but I think it's great that we're having this conversation. We're being explicitly shown what this is doing to female athletes. And so for that reason, I can look at it a bit optimistically now.
If you like the short clip, you can catch another one here, or you can catch the full episode right here.